Hello and welcome back to the Sofa of Adam for another beautiful podcast on another... Did you just tap the microphone? I could break every bone in your body. They'll be deaf. Doesn't matter. Hello and welcome back to the Sofa of Adam for another wonderful episode of... Actually, no, it's not really an episode. It's more of a mini podcast. We've done these before where we just like to talk about games and stuff, but this is all about PlayStation VR.
And Skyrim.
And Skyrim, which is coming out on November 17th worldwide. We got a bit confused in our last video we did 3 months ago. We thought it was November 11th, which is a lie. I'm upset about that, so don't worry.
It's only 6 more days.
It's only 6. It means more to me because obviously my birthday is in 2 days, and it's Todd's birthday today. So happy birthday to Todd, who's also on the channel sometimes.
Yes, happy birthday.
If he sees it today. If you don't see this today, then happy birthday in the past, which is kind of irrelevant. But first, we want to talk about Skyrim VR and why it is we think it's so important to PlayStation, because until a year ago when PlayStation VR turned up on the market and I bought one on the day of release, we thought there was going to be a game like this that came around sooner, did we not?
No, we did. We speculated at some point we'd get not necessarily a Skyrim, it could have been built from the ground up, but a full fantasy VR experience.
Yeah, we did expect something.
A game, not an experience.
Yeah, a full open world something where you can really get stuck in. I mean, I would have been happy if they'd have brought... Like, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. If you haven't played that, go play it. Set in England, I really like it. It is a walking sim. But I thought somebody was going to bring forwards a game like that and go, we've adapted it to PlayStation VR. Here it is. Enjoy. Never happened. Hasn't happened yet, unless I've missed something. Yeah. We eventually had to get an American account just so we could download some of their games, and a Japanese account so we could get some of their games, which meant that we got World War II's, which was fantastic and still is fantastic. Why it hasn't been fully released, I really don't know why that hasn't been fully released around the world, because it is finished.
It's one of the rare shooters that even I enjoyed.
It's really good as well, so why they're not pushing that, I've no idea. But there was No Man's Sky as well. Let's just forget. No, we're not fans.
I reckon if they said that was a VR title, they would have shifted a lot more units, both in the game itself and VR.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's a really good point. Because I would have done that. I'd have bought... I mean, I bought my PSVR headset on the...
You would have kept No Man's Sky.
That's a better example. I would have kept No Man's Sky, because I would have bought my PlayStation VR headset myself. Regardless. But if No Man's Sky was going to be in VR, I bet a lot of people would go back to their headsets that sold them.
Just to look at it,
because it's just an experience. So now that we finally have something like Skyrim, ta-da, back full circle, we do wonder... why it hasn't happened sooner. But if nothing can sell VR, it's going to be Skyrim. If Skyrim can't do it, nothing can, because Skyrim is, in my opinion, as important to the popular consciousness as No Man's Sky was at its peak. So in reality, either one could sell PSVR. It's not No Man's Sky, because it never came to VR, and it never did, and it was shit, and no one cares. But here's Skyrim, this little gift from Bethesda. They're also doing Fallout 4, but that's coming to PSVR later, next year.
Because they're doing that PC.
That's a Vive exclusive for a year, because they haven't done it for PSVR. They're doing Skyrim exclusive for PSVR, and then in a year's time, that will come to Vive. So if you've got a Vive, you can play it, or just get the mod. I mean, if you've already got a Vive, then you can already play Skyrim VR. What are you doing here? Go play Skyrim. Why are you even watching this, you crazy people? Why would they be here? There's no people with a Vive watching this. But Skyrim will be, hopefully, the main seller. If anything, I really, really am hoping that Skyrim's going to bring a lot of people round. Because Todd, for instance, isn't a fan.
No.
He's not a fan of Skyrim, and for all of my trying to convince him, he hasn't been swaying, has he?
No.
You haven't been able to convince him either.
No.
But I'm hoping that with it coming to the Switch, he might get it there. But if he doesn't, I'm hoping that, again, he'll be able to get into that in PlayStation VR, and he has a PlayStation, so playing it might give him that little incentive later on in a year, 2 years, to get a PlayStation VR, because it is going to be a really slow trickle. I don't see it happening that quickly. It is going to be a really long time before people buy them.
And that's assuming if people don't go out and buy it, because literally it was only last year that they released the special edition. maybe not everyone's sold on the VR idea enough to go, why would I want to shell out X amount of money for a game
No,
I've
it's
literally
true.
just bought?
No, because it isn't that long ago that we had all the
special
edition to Skyrim, the HD remaster, and then the one that That's a good point, because I forgot about that, because that was only about a year ago. Was that a year and a half? Maximum of 2 years? My memory's not great on that, but you're right.
Last year
it was. I think it was this time last year. It was last winter. Maybe that was their way of getting everybody back into Skyrim for this. They might have seen this coming. But it is a bit of a double-edged sword.
But then there are people who will go, I've just bought this game. Why would I need
Why would they want to buy it again?
Yeah.
But straight away, straight away, I think it will bring a lot of people back. But on to the main issue at hand, the reasons why Skyrim is going to be so good. For starters, it's all the DLC, everything.
Yes.
That's DAWNGUARD, Hearthfire, and the Dragonborn. Dragonborn? Is it just Dragonborn?
I think it is just Dragonborn.
I can't remember
that one. But I know what it contains. I can't remember the name.
I remember seeing you play Dragonborn, but I don't think I ever completed it. I'm one of those people that played Skyrim over and over and over and over and over again.
But never got anywhere.
But never actually completed it. But I did do everything in all of my little restarts. And then I got it on PC and then I modded it for a bit.
I've not finished Skyrim, but I've done everything else.
I don't actually know what happens at the end. I don't think I've even seen the ending cutscene. I really don't think I have. So if you want to spoil that for me in the comments, go ahead. But if you love me,
enough.
Yeah, it's like I guess I can't really claim that. It's like, oh, it's only been 7-8 years. Really, I should know. For starters, though, it's really important to mention that I'm really looking forward to doing a certain number of things. So here's mine and Mike's top 5 things that we're going to do in Skyrim. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, what's the first thing you're looking forward to doing in Skyrim?
Well, when I usually play Skyrim, I tend to be the good of the good, so I tend to avoid like the Thieves Guild and the Assassins Guild. But in VR, one thing I'm definitely going to do, one of the first things, is joining the Dark Brotherhood. Doing all that quest, so when the Night Mother turns up, and then just stare at it just to see the detail they've put in, because
onto the Night Mother, the woman in the coffin.
Because there's one thing that playing it normally is quite nice. You see and goes, yes, they've put a bit of detail in, and you sort of just move on. But to see that one of those rare moments of horror in the game.
It is a rare moment, being locked in a coffin with a rotting corpse.
Yeah.
If that's a high point for you, then
no, I just want to
I'm happy that you've got something that you're looking forward to.
I just want to see the sort of detail of it and the whole coffin.
I remember her looking just a bit like a prune. But to be fair, in VR, we'll now know if I'm right or not. We'll see if she looks like a prune. But Mike's going in to find out.
Yes.
My first
have
point.
To do a video of that one.
Yeah, well, we'll be doing a video immediately. I mean, I've got the thing. We've got it pre-ordered, or we will do in a day or so, because there might be a sale coming. So we're waiting for that. But my first thing that I would like to go and do is to see the Eye of Magnus in the Mages College, because it was huge in the game, and I remember all the noises and like the bass throb as it goes brrr, and all the waves of energy come off. I cannot wait to actually see that up close and hear the bass in my ears and go, oh my god, we're all going to die by this magic ball we brought back from underground. It's one of the best storylines in Skyrim that sticks out as being
it's one of the memorable ones.
So classic fantasy. You go to a mine, you dig out a magical artifact, and it tries to kill you all. And then deities from the future tell you shouldn't be spoilers. Tell you shouldn't be using it.
Well, they're not deities.
They're people.
They're mages that exist in a place
time
between.
Stream.
No, they exist
basically.
Well.
I know.
Different realm.
Yeah,
pocket realm.
They exist somewhere else. These strange people from another dimension tell you shouldn't be using it, and then we do it anyway, and then everyone dies.
Yeah.
Except you, because you're
special.
You've got plot armor. What's your second thing that you're looking forward to doing?
Killing a dragon, and then watching the whole light show afterwards when you absorb their soul.
When they all go...
that, and then...
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
And then looking at the dragon skeleton afterwards, just to go, this was actually a massive
because it stays there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and you can do that thing where you teleport far away just after you've killed it. and then watch the lights come miles and miles and miles coming whoosh, and then it hits you and you feel like you've I guess you won't feel anything, but it'll look like you've been hit by something really heavy.
Yeah.
My second one's a bit cheesy, but I am really looking forward to going to the top of the throat of the world and looking out over the entirety of Tamriel. Well, Skyrim, but Tamriel. A bit of Tamriel, and I'll be able to see it all, and it's going to look amazing. Just to be able to see as far as I can. Oh, my hand really glows there by the light. My holy hand, look into the light. But no, I'll look off onto the horizon, and I'm really looking forward to being able to see all the towns and cities, because they've gone to a lot of work to sort of redetail everything for VR. I mean, one of my main points about VR as a whole, now that they've rebuilt it, is that all the move controllers and things actually do things. So if you want to pull a switch, you actually have to grab the switch and pull the switch. So it's going to be really cool to have that sort of level of immersion. I really am looking forward to doing everything, to be able to see things that are on the horizon. It's just going to be so immersive.
On the internet, and there's like apparently a wave of these like attachments for your VR. Headsets, like wind machines and all of that.
Oh, that's ridiculous! But so I'm tempted.
By PSVR 3, where they've all incorporated that sort of thing, Skyrim VR is going to be amazing. Oh, that'll
be weird. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll be on to the next Skyrim, whatever that will be by then. Yeah.
6,
oh, by the way,
hopefully.
I've got a tea, and so what have you got?
Coffee.
Yeah. But I've got a tea, and if you haven't got a tea, then you're letting me down.
I've got a man's drink.
A man's drink is coffee. What's your third point?
My third thing, going to the Shrine of Azura.
Oh yeah,
the biggest sculpture in all of Skyrim. Just looking up at it and just go, I feel so insignificant.
I look forward to being inside Azura's star.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Which sounds dodgy, but it's not. I look forward to it because it's all crystally.
Yeah, all crystally.
That'll be cool because it's only small, but it's only a very small area, but it's all crystals. Yeah. That'll be amazing. That really will be cool. I also look forward to myself. My third point is getting into a bar fight. Because you have all your weapons taken off of you. With the move controllers, you'll just be punching them. So you'll literally just be having
a wee boxing Friday.
A bar fight with a guy in an inn somewhere. And that'll be awesome. That'll be so cool. You, on your fourth point?
Well, since Paris Game Week, we've seen a lot of footage of Skyrim VR, and one of the things I saw in that footage that I really went, oh, I can't wait to experience that, it's now horse riding. Because now it's in
I haven't seen much horse riding.
Because it's all in PSVR, it's now all first person.
Of course, yeah. So you'll be on the horse.
So none of this sort of third person. You are actually in first person. And from what I saw of someone play it, they were right after they were doing this.
I see, because the move, because like I was saying a minute ago, they've so if you want to open the door, you have to actually click the door and open it, throw a switch, you have to actually throw a switch. So if they've gone all out, you're saying it's the same on horses. To go faster, you do that.
Yeah,
and then they go faster, and then you can sit still, and they'll probably walk normally.
Yeah.
I wonder if you steer by actually leaning left and right, because if that's true, I'd love that, because I don't like the idea of turning, looking that way, the horse going that way, because then you'll get a bow and arrow out. I'll go that way, and the horse will turn to where I'm aiming.
Well, actually, looking where you're going, and then
it'll be weird.
And then having the horse move you that way is probably more natural to do it, because if you're actually on a horse, you're not moving anyway.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Because
it's more natural for you.
As far as I'm aware, a lot of things in Skyrim VR are connected to where you're looking. So if the horse is going where you're looking, and then you look at something to shoot it on horseback. It's just going to be weird. We'll have to see how the controls and things pan out. My fourth point is the trees. I'm really looking forward to seeing trees, which sounds really strange because there's a lot of trees in Skyrim. But there are really tall forests, and I really want to see how tall those trees actually are, to walk up to them and look up in the night and see like blackened branches, and then just see like dragon flying overhead and the beautiful aurora borealis lighting up the sky between the branches. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to actually be able to get into it and just experience all the nature and the forest, and just being able to go out and actually see what it all looks like. The amount of work they put into that, though, to think it actually survives the transfer to VR, and it's that old of a game. The fact that Bethesda sat down, and this is Bethesda, I mean, we all love Bethesda, whether you're on the Skyrim bandwagon of, oh, we played it at the time and it was great, and now I'm just done with it because it's been released over and over and I don't have VR, or you're on the bandwagon of it's always going to be great. Skyrim is really clever. It's survived this long through this many updates, and it's been able to keep up with modern gaming just enough to keep it up to date with the brand newest technology and headsets.
I was going to say mod supports really helped it.
I think but again, you could say that's Bethesda. Bethesda allow mod support on their things. They don't have to.
No,
they don't have to do anything.
But I think it's one of the reasons why it
is one of the reasons
so long.
Because people can add their own trees.
Yeah, trees, their own maps, their own stories.
You do whatever they like.
Yeah.
What's your fifth and final point?
Becoming a werewolf.
Becoming a werewolf. Oh yeah, I didn't really think about that. There's not lots of things I haven't even considered. This is why I like doing these little podcasts with you, because obviously you can become a werewolf. Where's that? Is that the Companions Guild? Yes, and I think the first town you come to, Whiterun.
And also I think you can get it by...
It's Whiterun, isn't it?
Running foul of a werewolf, yeah. It's
Whiterun, good. I didn't want to embarrass myself any further.
But I think you can get like the infected way. Instead of ritualistic way.
I wonder if the transformation will be first. I mean, it has to be first person. Bethesda have already said that if you didn't know, the version of Skyrim this is entirely forced first person perspective. You can't swap out of it and go to third person at any point. So werewolf transformations, I wonder if mirrors work. How will you know what you look like?
I assume mirrors would work then.
But mirrors never used to work.
I was going to say, but then
the idea of having a mirror was quite powerful back then, 8 years ago, because you needed a really good skybox.
Yeah, but I was going to say also there weren't very many mirrors in Skyrim to begin with.
Water reflections aren't going to reflect your face back at you, are they?
No.
I want to be an Argonian. I'll be annoyed if all I can see are some talons. And I guess if I'm an Argonian, I'll have claw hands. What more do I want?
Have claw hands anyway.
I'm not going to be able to see. I wonder if I'll have a muzzle. That'd be weird. I hope not, because that would kind of ruin my experience having like a green nose in front of my face.
I don't know that would probably enhance your experience if you're role playing as an Argonian.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Well, I guess I would be. I don't know if role playing is the right word. I'm playing a game and I'm having fun as a lizard man.
RPG.
I look forward to swimming underground. Swimming underwater, because Argonians can obviously breathe underwater. Yes. So just going for a swim and watching the light through. Oh, it'll be great. It really will be great. Is it my fifth point? I think it is. The Assassin's Guild, or the Dark Brotherhood, just as a whole. I know you said first that you've got the... you want to walk into... you want to look at a dead corpse in the Dark Brotherhood. I just want to be there and do all the missions, because I want to be a sneaky, sneaky, sneaky Argonian bastard. Because that's going to be just fun in PSVR. I'm going to really look forward to being at a duck and that actually engaging sneak... physically ducking, a bit like I always say this in like Windlands and Resident Evil on the channel. We've talked about how physically doing things is much better than pressing a button. I mean, Solus is a perfect example of why it doesn't work to just walk up to a wall and then you look at the wall and then it highlights what's going to happen. You click a button and then it goes ping and it appears in your inventory and you haven't actually done anything. So what you're doing then is a point and click in VR. That's kind of what games get put down to. Whereas Skyrim, this full immersion they've gone for is just going to be incredible. And the idea of sneaking and stabbing someone in the back.
And see, if I had my Omni run, we can lose weight as well.
We're not going to. But that's a good point, though. Like, walking from one end of the map to the other is going to be just magical. Because it's a 45-minute walk anyway, or run, depending on stamina and level. But that'll probably be the first thing we do when I turn the game on and start it, which I might do in character, maybe. I haven't decided. I've been watching lots of other channels, and I feel like maybe I could try and be really embarrassing. I've got nothing to lose. I have no dignity. I'm English. So we could very easily try and do some stuff in character, and I'll just walk from one end of the map to the other and see what happens along the way. And that would take me like an hour, and if I got distracted, longer. And that's not even a mission. So just going through the whole of the Dark Brotherhood as a whole will be a mammoth undertaking in PSVR, and I am ecstatic for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I like the fact also they've got full locomotion. That's a very good point.
Well, actually, they've got 3 control methods.
Oh, do tell.
They've got the controller method and the move method, and when it gets released for PC, they've already tested and worked the Vive ones.
Oh, yeah, I see. So they all work together. You're a bit dark. Yeah. But they've got the ones as well. So that's a great idea, because obviously I've seen the footage where they're teleporting. And now we've seen the footage of people walking around normally, and that should be playing on screen in the background. I mean, we'll work that out later.
I think I remember correctly that they're tied to the buttons.
Yeah, because it's X and circle to do your sort of rotation like this, which I dislike. Luckily, you can turn all that off. You can 100% play Skyrim as you did with a controller. You can play it exactly, full locomotion, no black wobble around the outside. You can delete that. If you've seen anyone playing Skyrim in VR and they've got the black fog, you can switch that off in-game. They've already said that's fine.
Various sliders, so you can turn it up and down.
Yep, and entirely off. They were very clear. Slide it up and down and off. But you can also change your running speed just by default so that you feel more comfortable. So you can run at normal 100%, as it were, as you do in Skyrim. Or you can turn that down. You can teleport, but no one's going to do that unless they really want to. No offence if you do. Obviously, you go do whatever makes you feel most comfortable in VR. But for me, personally, I really just want to be able to walk and play a game normally and then be given the option to add dark screen, teleport, walking slower. It's better to do it that way. A lot like Solus, that's probably how it's going to play. I'm not too sure how I feel about that because Solus controls are bad. So the idea of me going circle and X to walk to do my tilting, and then obviously I'll be using my head to look where I'm going, and then on the other controller will be forwards and backwards, and then you'll be using your hands in different directions for magic and trying to walk one direction and turn, and it's going to be horrible. So I'm going to have a fiddle with it and work out what control scheme works best for me, but it's great that they give that option. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What have you got? Is there anything you wanted to add before we headed off?
No, yeah, the one thing I was always wondering about is where would you have the health bars?
Oh yeah, of course, because they've moved it all, haven't
down,
they? Off HUD.
Sort of all down, it's sort of all around your waist. If you just look down, you just sort of see them around your waist.
Yeah, so you've got like the compass that you have at the top of the screen, which would be here, is now by your feet on like a curve. So when you look down at your feet, you've got the compass, the health bars and everything are down there, unless you want to have the health bars above their enemies' heads now, because it used to be, again, that would appear at the top of the screen. That doesn't really work in VR. So now they've changed it so it appears above the head. So you can toggle all sorts of things to keep your HUD completely clean.
I'd think I'd probably have it completely clean. Because then
I'd rather
when
have
you
it
kill a monster,
empty.
it's the satisfaction and the yes.
I want blood on. I want blood on the screen. I want to feel the blood of a dragon on my face as I slice it in twain. I just can't wait. I really can't wait. One final thing I wanted to add is just a couple of quotes and stuff, because one thing that really touched me was when GameSpot did a review of it, and in their review he said, "I've been here before, but now I feel like I'm physically inside." And that is probably the best quote that I've heard, or the best thing I've heard anyone say about Skyrim VR, is just the fact that you've been there before, and we're all going to walk through the door of Skyrim, and we're going to sit in that carriage for the first time. We're going to go, I've seen this 100 times.
It's the
but now I'm here.
Start.
Yeah, it's just that dystopian step forwards. It's just going to be, oh my god, here I am again, but I'm here now.
Yeah,
it's weird. It will be so many flashbacks to like back then when I used to. I mean, it was only a few years before Skyrim that I was watching Tron for the first time, just in my youth, and going, wow, I'd love the idea of going into a computer game. And then there was, Dot Hack, the anime. There's so many animes and films and things. And then obviously we've got the idea of VR and going into a computer. It's what our generation was brought up on. And then obviously next year, if you didn't know, you've got Ready Player One, which is an amazing book. Go read Ready Player One. If you haven't read it, go read it, audiobook it, watch it on YouTube. I don't care. But you've got to go and see that, because it's coming into a film, and that's all about VR, and that's going to, I mean, if it doesn't, that's also going to be, I bet there's going to be a VR experience for that. It's guaranteed. It is a VR film, and there's no reason why they haven't done that. They're doing it because VR's coming back now.
Disney's released, that demo that was on the PC for the Star Wars droid repair thing?
No.
Well, they're
let's go on though. They'll know.
I remember reading it was coming to the PSVR at some point as a full thing.
No, that would be really interesting.
So you're taking BB-8s apart. And
so you've got to fix it. A bit like the Portal thing they did on Vive, where you're like building the droid and then you're fixing the two Player One and Player 1 and Player 2 from Portal 2. What are they? The Atlas and Peabody. Yes, I remembered. Yeah, the Atlas and Peabody. You have to fix them. So they've done that for the droids.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I don't know how I feel about that, because they've got the weird Marvel superhero game coming, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because it doesn't look like I expected it to look. I thought it was going to be really cartoony, much like World War Toons. If you know what that is, you might get what I'm coming from. It's a very sort of
cell shaded,
it's a very heavily cell shaded to the point, much like Borderlands. If you haven't heard of World War Toons, I thought that we were going to get something like that, very comic booky, very bold colours, and they haven't. They've gone down a sort of weird semi-realism,
Final Fantasy-esque route.
Yeah, and you've got like I just laughed when I saw it because it was so weird. Like you remember when you used to go and buy the Hulk gloves and it ends there and it's just a foam glove, and then suddenly we've come all this time and we're in this game and we're going to be in VR, and what you've got is exactly the same thing. It's a Hulk glove that ends there and there's nothing connected, and it's just these two Hulk hands, and I'm like, that's not quite what I wanted. It feels a bit job simulatory, but you can move around in that, so we'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully what we all saw is beta, and it's not what it looks like, and they're just letting it slide out, see what people think, because there hasn't been any official word on it really, so maybe that will pick up in time. But for now, I think we've covered everything that we've got to talk about for Skyrim VR and things in general. We covered quite a lot. Fallout as well, when that's coming out, which is next year at some point. But for now, keep your eye out for November 17th. We all lose our minds and disappear into another world, because this world isn't good enough and it's threatening to blow itself up any day.
So we'll go to another world.
So we'll go somewhere else where we can stay until the power runs out. And when the power runs out, we'll all come back. And hopefully by then, everything will have rotted away enough that we can all just carry on playing Skyrim in the real world. And then it won't matter. We can all just live out our fantasy in a nuclear apocalypse until Fallout is ready. And that's my life complete for the rest of the foreseeable future. But
when the nuclear winter passes, before then it's Skyrim, but then after that turns into Fallout.
Yes. After the nuclear winter, I'll be playing RimWorld. But thank you very much for joining us. It's always wonderful to have you. We love trying to keep the channel going. If you want to see us, we do lots of things on the channel all the time, on VR, PS4 in general. We do little podcasts and videos and things that keep us amused in the real world and the non-real world. So thank you very much. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. That's goodbye from me and goodbye from Mike.
Bye.
And we will see you all in the next episode.